What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Fast. Today, let's get started with Nickal weighs in on potential Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev title clash. Rising prospect Nickal recently shared his insights on the upcoming potential UFC middleweight championship clash between Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev. Boers is coming off a victory against former champion Robert Whittaker at UFC 308. Meanwhile, Dricus has successfully defended his title against two former 185-pound kings, Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland. According to the current UFC middleweight rankings, Imavov and Chimaev are two of the top contenders for the next championship fight. That's an amazing fight. I think those are two guys that have tremendous belief in themselves. They go out and fight extremely hard, so I think you have to give the grappling edge to Khamzat. I think you give the conditioning edge to Dricus, and the striking maybe leans a little bit towards Dricus, but pretty much a toss-up. Nickal continued and outlined the biggest assets of Chimaev and du Plessis in the fight game. Their biggest asset is their belief in themselves. They go out hard and ready to win and feeling like they should win. So that's going to be an entertaining fight whenever those guys believe in themselves and think they should win. So I don't know, 50-50. Dan Ige gets honest about who Alexander Volkanovski should fight next. UFC featherweight contender Dan Ige recently weighed in on champion Alexander Volkanovski's second title reign and who the Aussie should defend his belt against next. Dan, who also fought and won at UFC 314, believes Movsar Evloev should be the champion's next opponent. It's hard, man. I think he deserves it. He's beaten some really good guys. I think his fights are exciting. His fight with Aljo was entertaining. His fight with Allen was entertaining, to me. A new name for Volk would be Evloev. I think it makes sense. He has fought Yair. He looked incredible. Yair definitely deserves it. I think fighting a new name would make sense, especially if he wants to fight sooner than later, but I know Yair would be ready too. Michael Chandler says the future is still bright in latest statement on devastating UFC 314 loss. After breaking his silence earlier this week, UFC lightweight contender Michael Chandler has released a lengthier statement addressing his latest crushing loss. Chandler's struggles inside the octagon continued at last Saturday's UFC 314 pay-per-view, which he co-headlined opposite the rising Paddy Pimblett inside Miami's Kaseya Center. The former three-time Bellator champion was soundly defeated en route to a TKO stoppage in round 3. The best you can do is move forward with confident expectancy and pride in the attempt. One thing is certain, I can rest in knowing that I prepared the best I could, and I alone was responsible for my shortcomings in that octagon. My team prepared me. The UFC gave me the opportunity. I stepped into the ultimate proving grounds, ready, bested, but never beaten. Former UFC champion urges Michael Chandler to follow the Dustin Poirier route. A previous kingpin of the UFC's welterweight division has suggested Michael Chandler to follow the methodology of his former opponent, Dustin Poirier. On the latest episode of the Pound for Pound podcast, Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo discussed Chandler's loss to Paddy Pimblett at UFC 314. It's tough to say because, like Henry, I never want to tell a man what to do or when to retire, because you know how much fire is burning inside you, so I would never say that to another man like you need to retire, but I do think yes, that's something he needs to think about. If he's halfway there, it's something you need to seriously consider. Because of the damage that he is taking. Yes, he's one of the most exciting fighters in that division, and definitely top 10 in the company. So yes, I get that part. Yeah, I think just like Dustin. Dustin says, hey, I want one more, and then I'm done. So I think yeah, consider it. I'm not telling you what to do, but I think consider it, Mike. Ilia Topuria fires back at Khabib Nurmagomedov's recent comments on potential Islam Makhachev fight. Ilia Topuria has responded to Khabib Nurmagomedov's disapproval of his potential matchup with Islam Makhachev. Topuria asserted that Nurmagomedov is concerned about Makhachev losing his lightweight strap to him. Topuria and Makhachev have been at odds for a long time, with the former vocal in his ability and intention to dethrone the Dagestani fighter on multiple occasions. I don't know what kind of agreements Topuria and the UFC had, but from Islam's side, he already gave 2 title shots to 145-pound champions. Both times Islam won. Now a third time. Okay, let's imagine Topuria moves up and gets a title shot right away. Islam beats him. Then Topuria fights again. He loses again. So basically he was a nobody at 155. Islam beat a nobody at 155. Nurmagomedov further stated that Arman Tsarukyan is a more deserved matchup for Makhachev. Notably, the two were set for a rematch at UFC 311, but Tsarukyan pulled out after suffering a back injury during his weight cut. Khabib knows I'm the one to take the belt from Islam. Only reason he doesn't want Islam to fight me. Henry Cejudo talks Max Holloway's chances against Alexander Volkanovski in potential quadrilogy fight, reflects on UFC 314 main event clash. Former UFC double champion Henry Cejudo recently weighed in on Alexander Volkanovski's UFC 314 performance against Diego Lopes. Cejudo believes BMF champion Max Holloway could potentially beat Volkanovski in a potential quadrilogy fight. Despite the Brazilian fighter's resilience, the Great was able to win via unanimous decision to become a two-time UFC featherweight champion. Even though the Great has defeated Blessed 3 times in the UFC, Cejudo believes Holloway to be better than the Volkanovski of the present. I feel like 145 is wide open. I feel like the person who should come back is Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway does a number on everybody at that weight class. Yes, 100%. Obviously, he did get knocked out by Ilia too, but I just feel like his volume, I feel like he's healthier. He's got the better chin, and I feel like it'll definitely be different this time around. Volkanovski did look good. I can go back and see why Ilia Topuria knocked him out. He does a lot of things good, but he does a lot of things wrong, particularly defensively. He'll go for a takedown and come up without his hands coming up. If Diego really invested in that hook, it'd be a little different. Paddy Pimblett's next opponent will be a former champion, per Lightweight Star. A current UFC lightweight believes Paddy Pimblett's next opponent will be a former lightweight champion. He noted that the promotion sees the value the Englishman brings and will continue to give him opportunities. Pimblett earned the most impressive win of his career at UFC 314 last Saturday. There were plenty of questions regarding whether the baddie's hype would be derailed, but those were quickly answered as he dominated Chandler in every aspect of the fight. Moicano mentioned that Dana White is firmly behind Pimblett and believes that his next opponent will have a title on their resume. UFC is behind Pimblett, you know that. Why? Because Dana White just said on the press conference that a win over Chandler would put him in the title contention. I don't agree with that at all, but who am I to blame? Who am I to talk about UFC? UFC knows what they are doing, and if they're supporting Paddy, it's for a reason. So next opponent for Pimblett will be Charles Oliveira or Justin Gaethje for sure. Joe Rogan reveals talking to Dana White about potential Belal Muhammad versus Islam Makhachev fight. Joe Rogan recently disclosed his conversation with Dana White about a possible showdown between Islam Makhachev and Belal Muhammad. Ilia Topuria responded by stating that he believes the Makhachev versus Muhammad fight will materialize. Makhachev has been vocal about his dreams of becoming a double champion on multiple occasions, hinting at his move to welterweight. However, the Dagestani fighter has yet to step up due to Muhammad, who currently holds the 170-pound belt and shares a close relationship with the Nurmagomedov clan. When I talked to Dana, at least promoting for the UFC like I was talking to him this weekend, he was telling me all the issues that they're having and with different fights, but he was actually specifically talking about what happens if Belal wins. The UFC commentator then opened up about White's stance on the potential Makhachev versus Muhammad contest, saying, "You know, Islam and Belal, they've been talking about Islam fighting Belal. I would like that to happen if Belal wins, but that's an if. The problem with Islam fighting Belal is that they train together, and I think they should fight. Yeah, they should fight."